to, not an email, from someone you don't know that well. But I'm supposed to write a letter to a non-relative this summer as an assignment for school. When we were at camp, I thought I'd send letters to friends back home about the wonderful time I was having there with my best friend, but I didn't have time to write to them when I was there. Okay, that's not true. If I'm going to write a letter, it should at least tell the truth. The truth is, I had a terrible time at camp. It was my first time away from home for more than a weekend, but that wasn't why it was terrible. It just was. Why am I writing to you? Because you seemed like a good listener that night when we met by the creek. We basically just shared our names and then talked about how beautifully shiny those rocks were, nestled against the trunk of that huge oak tree. How they might be fairy rocks or stones from another planet, or artifacts from an ancient civilization, or something left over from when dinosaurs roamed the earth. And then, once we picked them up and looked closer, how much they reminded us of the descriptions of the stones in Book 3 of our favorite book series, The Dragon Gems. That's when I knew we'd be friends. It was so cool to find another DG fan. We each picked one up and put it in our pocket and stayed quiet, listening to the water flow over rocks in the stream and watching the moonlight trickle through the trees. We barely said anything, and it was the best time I'd had at camp in the 2 weeks I'd been there. And I wished in that moment that I had met you earlier, that maybe camp wouldn't have been so bad if I had. When I got home, I took the rock right up to my room and put it on the table next to my bed. It was the last thing I saw when I went to sleep that night, shining gentle and silvery, and the first thing I saw when I woke up in the morning. I don't know about your rock, but mine seems to have 2 little indentations that look a little like eyes. She's the cutest little rock friend. I named her Opal, after one of the light gems in Book 3. I know she is not an actual opal, but she is beautiful to me. I've been spending a lot of time in my room since I got home. My little brother and sister are out all day playing in our yard or at the park with friends, but I've been home reading. Well, rereading the whole Dragon Gems series. My mom and dad figure it's because camp tired me out, and as long as I'm reading something, it's fine with them for me to stay put. And I love thinking about Pigment and Oddment and the gems and Crystal, the tiny dragon. I wish Crystal had showed up earlier than Book 3. She could have helped Pigment and Oddment against the Bane Witches. Which brings me back to this letter. I woke up in the morning and actually remembered to water my plant. What I really want is a mini hedgehog for a pet, but my mom says I need to keep a plant alive for at least 6 months to prove I can be responsible enough for a pet. So far, I've killed plants by 1. Not watering them enough. 2. Watering them too much. 3. Giving them too much sunlight. 4. Not giving them enough sunlight. 5. Giving them plant food that didn't seem to agree with them. 6. Getting too excited about what I'm reading and accidentally knocking them off my windowsill. I've pointed out to my mom that plants don't make any noise when they need something, so that's not really a valid test of how capable I am of caring for a pet. But she isn't convinced by my argument. I currently have a succulent, a cactus specifically, in my window, and I finally feel like this plant might actually have a chance to survive. And then, hello, hedgehog! You know that camp book that has everyone's names and address? Well, this morning when I went to water my succulent, which only needs a little bit of water every week or so, FYI, Opal was sitting on that book. It was open to the page that had your address on it. I didn't remember putting her there. I had